Hello and welcome. It's Thea Van Dort, the executive producer of Time of the Sixth Sun. In the box below me is Nikki Luna Williams, the creator, director, producer of this amazing project. And in the box over here, we have the beautiful White Eagle medicine woman who's back with us again to share us this evening about the divine feminine, but not just about the feminine, but also for men too. Is that not correct?
Absolutely.
Let me just quickly mute that. I'm so sorry. It's because I've opened the YouTube window so I can make sure it's working. But we are definitely live.
So,
Nikki, how are we tonight?
I'm good, actually. Thank you. I've been doing a lot of processing about my mum and then stuff about my dad. So it's been a big week of processing for me.
Wow.
But I found an amazing piece that my father wrote, which I think I'm not going to say any more about it because I think I might put it up on our Facebook page because it's beautiful. I sent it to you, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I thought for sure that was written for right today, right now.
Felt like it. Yeah.
Yeah, it really did.
Are people coming on?
Yeah, they are. So welcome to our live broadcasts. Often people ask us how you can help and how you can support. Well, first of all, I would like you to show you this. The White Eagle's website is whirlingrainbow.com. And she's going to be talking about spiritual sensuality tonight. All of these links are available in the description of this live video on YouTube and on Facebook. You can follow White Eagle on Instagram and also on Facebook. Again, you don't have to write those links down. They're all in the description. And later on this evening, we're going to be talking about White Eagle's spiritual sensuality course that is upcoming. And if you'd like to support these free broadcasts, then you're able to do so. You can rent Time of the Sixth Sun, the movie, which is only $4.95. You can purchase a digital access package, which is over 19.5 hours of deep dive content that we've got. We'd love you to make a donation. And if you click on the donation link, we explain in the heart graphic the reasons why we're asking for those. And if you can't do any of those, then you could share this live video with others. That would be superb, so that we spread the word of this beautiful project all around the planet.
Yes.
Hello to Pamela Collard and Bob. Anyone for coffee? No. Okay, so shall we get into it?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Live.
Live. So we're going to get into spiritual sensuality in a moment, White Eagle. But firstly, I wanted to discuss what your take is on the return of the divine feminine. Now, as we know, the Shekinah is not likely to come back into the hologram anytime soon, but it's more a metaphor. And you were sharing with me that for you, the feminine is the inner landscape, the being part, and the masculine relates to the external landscape, which I really loved. So can you tell us more about these divine feminine energies?
Well, as you know, in the film, we discussed this in the film. We had such a beautiful time on the Mount of Olives that day. I think it was like one of the most synchronistic feminine spirituality moments that you and I shared. And not only is the Native American tribe saying their tribes will once again be run by women, and the Hopi prophecy of when the grandmothers speak, the earth will heal. And the grandmothers I've been working with for so many years, right? But this is really not just a physical law that's coming through in the shift of power, and what that power looks like, not power over, but empowerment is kind of like how we could synopsis that. But also it really has to do with, as you said, the inner. You know, the feminine can be described as a body part as the ear. You know, it's the listener. It's the part of us that listens directly to our spirit, which is the driver of this vehicle, and holds that space for resonance, that we're in full resonance with our authentic nature and our authentic purposes, which we're going to talk about later. And so when we're talking about the feminine, we're not talking about women. We're talking about the inner human being rather than human doing. It is that listener part. It is the place of beingness that we go into in our meditation time. But we're now being asked to not go into meditation, but live that in our current life. Not just like when we're sitting there in that space, but to how can we live from the human being? And slowly but surely in that alignment, start the doing. The new doing, which is completely in alignment with what the spirit is commanding from us, our oversoul, higher self, however, God, goddess, is asking us and staying in that truth and authenticity.
Fabulous.
It's not a world we've currently lived in, which lives from top down, which lives from outer first. That's what's crashing. That's the epic of the fall of grace. And this is now where we're finally asking, which is really the reason we're doing Spiritual Sensuality series. People keep asking, what's my higher purpose? Life purpose, soul purpose, work purpose. I need that. And it's the divine feminine part of us that has to go into deeper listening, which we call the lockdown, which is really not. It was a time of going into deeper listening, which we're not doing on caffeine and schedules, and we're not listening to that, and we're not in harmony with the actual rhythm of nature. So that has to come back. That's why we're doing what we're doing to the planet, right? So we're not in harmony with the planet or ourselves. To me, the divine feminine speaks to every single one of us. It is our receptive nature. And we're going to talk about today, which is even more powerful, of this time that we're in, that the grandmothers called the quantum yin. And the grandmothers also called the lockdown, how do you like this new name? The meta pause. And we're going down that avenue today.
Oh, that's brilliant, the meta pause. And so what's the prophecy, just to recap for people if they don't remember from the film, what the prophecy says about women?
Well, the Hopi prophecy, the Hopi and Navajo prophecies are the whirling rainbow prophecies, and there are many layers to them. But one of them is that when the grandmothers speak, the earth will heal. Now, in Alaska, our tribes have, when the children bring the drum back to the villages, the cultures will be restored. And those two things are kind of synonymous. The heart of the earth, divine feminine of our planet.
Yeah.
Her own spirit. And so we get that she is in a metapause so that her whole system can be renewed, because we're her cells and we have been raving havoc. So she has us in a metapause so that we can go into that calibration of the 4 R's that we'll get into today. Ringing, hearing the calling of our true essence. That's a North teaching. East, resonance. Getting into our authentic resonance. Dalai Lama can kill you with his chant master with a sound like a singer can shatter a glass. That's resonance. That's your base resonant frequency, as science says. Coming into that. Then South, staying in rhythm with that. Not overworking, overdoing, heart attacks, everything we have from overheating, overdoing, over manifesting, over making junk on the planet. And West, responsibility to that rhythm, responsibility to that resonance. And then in the North, we come back to rapture in the center. We come back to that center point of rapture with the divine, feminine and masculine, because the masculine is now in complete harmony with the feminine aspect of ourselves. And that, when we have those two in harmony within us, we are a force to be reckoned with in the world of instant manifestation, which is what I'm going through from my recalibration. It's just like all of a sudden things are just getting more efficient. And this is in our teachings what we call the law of the East, which is the 0 law, and that is maximum efficiency with minimum effort.
Perfect. I like the sound of that.
Which
that's what we're all striving for.
The original design, right? We were in grace. When we fell from grace, that's sweating by the toil of your brow. That's the struggle of, doing the worker bee, no pain, no gain model, which has been the masculine model for many thousands of years, right? And we all don't like it, men and women. We're all tired of it. Yeah. And I think that no one can say they didn't need this rest and renewal.
Absolutely.
And it's because we're already out of balance.
Yeah, absolutely. We are. So spirituality and sensuality, you gave me a definition. Do you want to read it out and tell me how you came to that?
Well, I just found this. This was the way it came to me.
Shall I read it?
An elder. You want to read it?
Yeah. So spirituality, dictionary terms, concerns aspects of the spirit and the process of evolving to higher spiritual awareness And sensuality is that which appeals to the senses. When any spirit incorporates into any physical organism, it acquires sensuality.
Read that last line again, because that is so powerful for where we are.
When any spirit incorporates into any physical organism, it acquires sensuality.
It is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And our kahuna elder, our beautiful Harry Uhani Jim, who's a kahuna of the Hawaiian Nation, we work with him every year during our training there. He had this word for how he led into the word spiritual sensuality. He never defined it, but he led into it with vertical time. It's that time when you have it either in a near-death experience or an enormously orgasmic experience in your life where there's no more linear time. All time is at once. It's that standard of your whole life flashes before you in that moment, and every lesson, everything that you've ever known all comes together in this incredible synergy. And he said that is the moment when your spirit is fully married to your senses or your elemental body. And that's the unity that happens. And that's where we are, is in this. I'm going to read you something at some point that Grandma's downloaded directly for this about the pandemic, which of course they are redefining as the plandemic. But what they said about this opportunity and how we stage this opportunity for ourselves to become more spiritually sensual.
Do you want to go ahead and read that? Is that appropriate?
Oh, I like these because they're like, what if?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And 2020 vision and 2020 hindsight that we're all talking about is not about even a new vision as much as it is a new perception.
Oh, I like that.
A different perception. So here goes what the grandmothers have said. What if I told you this enormous plandemic drama on the world stage and in your life right now was your own response to receiving more divine light and love coming into the planet, into your body and consciousness? What if you designed this movie score of events so that you could open more, listen more, could align to your true gift, could clear, here comes, all the blockages and lifetimes of miscreation and heal low self-worth that's preventing your spirit from acquiring more sensuality? What if I told you in the process of falling in love with yourself again, your dreams, and with really all that's underneath it all for you?
Wow. That's amazing.
It's the heroine's journey and it's the hero's journey that we see in every motion picture, that we have to overcome something that we don't know is in the unconscious because it's not conscious. So we design something to wake ourselves out of that dream, saying we want to go to the time of the sixth sun, the fifth sun, the sixth sun. But what are we learning? That we haven't made it past the fourth chakra.
Yeah.
Because that is the respiratory problems. And there are very specific breath work to unlock this shock that is in the lungs from grief that we have to transmute to love and from anger that we have to transmute to creativity.
Well, maybe after the next, sorry, Sarah.
Sorry, for those that don't know you, would you just explain who the grandmothers are? Otherwise, it's better for the context.
Sure. Well, as many of you know, I've been a shamanic practitioner, musician, and traveling the world with a 7-foot grandmother drum that's behind me, crystal inlay drum. And it was a vision of indigenous grandmothers that came to me both in the physical that I was working with here in Alaska, as well as in dream. The ones I speak of, most of come to me in dream. But now, over 25 years of touring the world, I have worked with countless elders who I'm going to speak about today, including Harry Ohani Jim, who's an amazing kahuna, and the grandmothers and grandfathers. And I'm going to tell you what cultures they're from, how the contextual knowledge is. because I have been like way over the top blessed to be a wisdom keeper and been asked to carry medicine bundles from them to you to bring some of those, the essence of those indigenous teachings, which, as we know, when they come together, are all saying the same thing, but with a different thread and a different context and a different elemental principle. So it's my honor as a shamanic healer and practitioner to also be a diplomat into indigenous cultures with Grandmother Drum, to begin to bring their knowledge and wisdom to the global platform. We had that here in Alaska, and that's how I started. My ex-partner was Aleut, and he wanted to get the elders of our region together to talk about the decline of fish and wildlife in the Bering Sea by 80% in 20 years. And that scientists were not listening to the indigenous knowledge and wisdom. And so now, with his amazing work that he did here in Alaska, that is actually a term in science now, traditional knowledge and wisdom, and it gets counted alongside with science for every research project.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I'll leave you to bring in the grandmothers and name them as we go on. We've been speaking in these Facebook Lives for the last, just over 2 months, Teo? Yeah. So we've been encouraging our speakers that we interview to share the inner work that we've been doing. We've heard repeatedly it's time to go within, it's all inside us. But for some people, they don't even get past those words. They don't know what it is or how to go deeper into that inquiry process, if you like. So practical tools would be really great. Yakov last week shared a lot of tools with us for people to do that work. Can you share with us about your own inner process work?
That's a long journey, right? From incest as a child and getting onto my medicine path in my 20s to get, to gravely hear my feminine self, to being challenged across America when I was traveling with this drum, stalked for my life, many, many things that caused me to really go in. But we have it's going to be coming up in the Spiritual Sensuality series, is this soul vine journey work. And this is an opportunity to go into what we call the 32 gates of the Akashic records of the soul. And this is like an audio that you can listen to while you do the work. And it helps you take you back 7 generations on mother and father line to start going into that energetic clearing. We do this in a ceremony in Native culture where we make a medicine wheel and we stand in the center and we're outside, the drums are playing all day, and we go back with the left foot 1 generation at a time. And once we go back, if I'm doing my mother's mother line, I do my own mother. And I stay there and I ask her energy to come forward, whether she's in this world or not. And anything that she never got to heal or I never healed with her comes up for that reconciliation. And we do that reconciliation through the Hawaiian Ho'oponopono method and several other methods in that journey work. And then
just say the 4 lines of the Ho'opono.
Yes, Ho'oponopono is a wonderful affirmation because it really says, I am creating everything that I see. So I create you as the drama that, you brought to my life. Because again, we need somebody to wake us up to practice love. Loving unconditionally is easy when everybody loves you. And when somebody wants to kill you, which was my case, it's a practice to still hold that. And we're in it now, like the Republicans, the Democrats, the 1%, the Bill Gates, whatever the stories that we have right now, the hatred that we are invoking with each other is we are seeing this ugliness out there because it lives here. And so in Ho'opono, it's I'm sorry. I'm sorry for creating this. Please forgive me. Thank you for making me aware of what I've created. I love you, which is, of course, the neutralizer of everything. I'm loving everything that I see, dark or light, and then it gets to be transformed through me. And then it transforms here.
I'm going to ask you to repeat that because so many people just chant those words, but when you put that meaning behind it, that's very, very powerful. Can you just say that again, what I created in you? So
I'm sorry for the miscreation. Please forgive me. That's the reconciliation. That is the word pono, which is what ho'oponopono. Pono means right relation. I'm sorry. I'm coming into pono. I had a misunderstanding. I had a misperception, just like we are of COVID. It's a misperception. Okay. Thank you. The third line, for making me aware, for waking me up out of the Maya. I love you. Neutralize. Everything's neutralized.
Teo, from now on, we're going to do Ho'oponopono on our Facebook page.
Yeah, because you have to stop that. I mean, yes, our North teaching is speak the truth without blame or judgment. So you can speak the truth of the pandemic without blame or judgment. It's like, this is what it is. Wake up. That's it. And if somebody wants to go, yeah, that stupid jerk, and he's such a, we have to stop the process. It's difficult, but we're just in the schoolyard all over again. We're 5 years old in the schoolyard. I mean, what's different? We're going, oh, we're climbing the sixth sun. We're evolved. We're not evolved until we get it.
That's really beautifully put. Thank you. I hope that's run home for other people as well as me, because I'm someone who would chant those words and actually not really think of it in those terms. So thank you.
It's powerful. I did it with one of my own siblings who I wasn't getting along with many years back. And I have two sisters, and it was for the one sister. And the next day, my other sister and I got closer.
Wow.
So it went out to the sisterhood immediately.
It's amazing. I guess because it works on the quantum level.
Exactly.
Because if there is no time and everything is happening at the same time.
Exactly. So my summary is soul vine journey work, and there is a specific technique to it. It is something we do in spiritual sensuality. It is something we teach, and everybody can do it from their own space. They can create a ceremonial space or just do it, in a meditation, and doing it every day. Imagine that we shower every day on the outside, but we don't do the same psychic work on the inside. And it's a must do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of, with your Ho'oponopono, stopped you talking about that process. Part of it was the breath work, taking people down, and you did that with us last time we interviewed you.
Yeah, there's several. We have 8 specific ones that we're working with on level 1, and those are all available on our online courses. It's called Take a Breath. And so we have them for every chakra. And when we do this one, the soul vine is the navel. That's the soul vine. It's when we're cut from our mother, we grow in a etheric one that's got 32 optic fibers that goes into our Earth star 18 inches under the ground. So we're cut from one mother and plugged into the other until 3 days before we die. And then that plug comes out and ascends up to the body, and depending upon our advancement, it either goes out the heart, the dove, the white dove, the Holy Spirit, or out the crown. It depends upon the person. That plug is what we're going down. It's like we're rappelling down that line. And we go into the 7 generations of the mother lines, father lines of both parents. And then we do the first 7 past life gates, and then we do the collective consciousness gates. So this is something we do constantly. In fact, our students that are getting certified to be healers with our Crystal Skull method have to do one every month and write a page about it. Like, we are doing this work because once we get through our personal stuff, which, I'm just getting through some of my personal layers after 40 years. And now I can do, and my past life stuff. And now I can do collective consciousness work and say it's authentic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so you were saying, when you stand in the circle for the mother's line, the maternal line, you take one step back with your left foot, and you keep going back for the 7 generations down that maternal.
Yeah, you can do one generation just for one meditation. You can do 4. Like, it's whatever comes to you in that. If that's all you can do is heal your mother, like, you might have to do that in 6 weeks or 2 years. There's no timeline to this. And then once you go back to the next and the next, and once you're finished, you say, that's enough for me today. Then you're going to step forward with the right foot and re-meet them for all the good, the true, and the beautiful gifts and talents that you have from them. And you're going to take that back.
Love
that. That's part of what we're doing in Soul this coming series is the soul purpose is all the gifts and talents you came in with.
Yeah.
That you can do your purpose. And boy, you know, people go down and they realize what they have 7 generations, or because they don't know those people, right? Nobody knows those people consciously, but they get all this download and they're like, wow, I can tap into that.
Yeah.
Because we have an internet only because we have an internet.
Yes.
I mean, so we can tap into that Akashic knowledge and command it to come forward whenever we need it.
I love that. And as soon as you finish with that one generation, you can reclaim it. And it's like a closing of the circle.
Absolutely. Because, you know, we have always more working in our lives than not.
Yeah, for sure.
Always.
You were talking to me about the codes. All of this work you're talking about at the moment, these tools are all in a course that is it starting this week?
Yes, starting on Thursday. And it's good for people in Europe too. We're doing it at 11 in the morning, same time as this. So it's evening time for people in Europe. It's 2.5 hours, and we're going to work each of the 5 directional purposes and all of their breath work and art and meditation practices, everything.
And you mentioned when we talked, you mentioned
we'll get them started.
Sorry to interrupt. You talked about codes as part of that work that you do, that people receive through meditation in the form of symbols.
Mm-hmm. Well, we see on every indigenous blanket around the world certain codes, like the Navajo have the butterfly pattern. That is one of their genetic codes. We each have personal codes, and then we have collective consciousness codes for humanity. And it's kind of like our personal website. It's who we are.
The blueprint.
It's our blueprint, okay? And it comes in the form of symbols or codes. And these codes in our life have to go from closed to open symbols in our life, meaning an area that we haven't tapped into, something, a gift or a talent or a purpose. The code is like, we know codes. We have symbols and everything. We have a stop sign. We have like many codes that tell us what that is. And what we're doing with a code that, you know, when people get them, they don't know what they mean yet. You know, they're just a symbol, and they get them in meditations. People are probably saying to me right now, I get these images. I don't know what they're about. Draw them. Keep them aware and awake in your meditation, in your daily life, because just by seeing them, they are awakening stuff in the unconscious. Mm-hmm.
Is that something similar to a sigil when we draw a sigil?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's powerful. That's very powerful work.
Yeah, so, I mean, we saw that in ancient Europe through all of the amulets that were made with all those sigils on them. Boom, that stuff activates in our system.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's obviously a huge time of reevaluation, and we're all asking ourselves these profound questions. You were just mentioning them before. So people say, what's my true soul path and purpose? What did I come to Earth to learn and to be of service and giving? And how did I maybe forget to listen to these really important messages coming through from the soul? So do you want to talk about, you actually said there were 5. I don't recall what the other 2 were.
Yeah, and I just tell people, I always work with the medicine wheel. So, you know, here's our circle. It's really basic, you know, 4 directions and the center. The medicine wheel teachings that I carry, the Sweet Medicine Sundance teachings, give us every guidepost for everything in our life. It's layered. We know the 4 directions as like the 4 seasons or the 4 elements or, you know, the 4 stages of life: childhood, adolescence, adult, elder. And we have 4 purposes also in the medicine wheel. So our north purpose, which is air to us, is higher purpose, what I'm here to learn, what I took on to learn. Opposite in the south, which is water to us, is what I come to give. Native people call it my giveaway. What's your giveaway? They don't say what's your career. It's like, what are your giveaway? Yeah. And your giveaway, all of this is summarized in your name, by the way. All purposes come together in your name. So that is our south purpose, what I'm here to give. East, which we were just talking about, the soul vine journey work, is our gift. Okay, what we came in as the gift. This is sunrise, right? It's fire, it's creativity. This is our gift.
And
What
does that include
talents did I bring into this
talent?
lifetime or develop in this lifetime and other lifetimes that are going to help me realize the higher purpose and life purpose?
Yeah.
And then our West, our final one is, we call it the work purpose. It's the creative manifestation of the rest, because this is an earth element. The West is earth. So it's like, how does that practically lay out in what you're doing in life, in service? And our spiritual purpose, which is really the driver of everything, is what did my spirit personality take on as a summary to accomplish? This is like all of it together. What did my spirit personality take on? Because our soul vehicle travels from lifetime to lifetime. Okay. But the spirit incarnation takes on a different persona each time. And so what did it take on to accomplish through all of that?
Yeah.
Those are the 5. And those are the 5 weeks of spiritual sensuality. We're going to work with all of those in that. Okay?
Fantastic. It sounds very inspiring. I think I might be joining you.
Yummy.
Just not Monday and Thursday nights.
Right. Well, also, we come up with it, and there's a way to write them so they can become this one-line affirmation that is just like, whoa. And then we have them, and we put them in our meditation space, our healing office, wherever. And every day, again, ringing, hearing the call and resonance, rhythm, responsibility, and rapture, we are in constantly keeping with that. And that helps us filter out yes and no in our life. What the truth is for us, personal truth, not right and wrong, just personal truth for us in this time. Okay, so that we stay in resonance with our original dream of wholeness.
And our true purpose, for sure.
Exactly.
Resonance.
And so that is those 5 R's I gave you are the grandmothers. I love how they redefine everything, like menopause, right? Is the new definition of righteousness. Self-righteousness. We hate that word because it's like, we think of religious righteousness, right? And this is right for ourselves, in perfect resonance with ourselves, in perfect rhythm with our original blueprint, with responsibility to that blueprint. And then we merge with the divine from our note in the song of creation, our note in that music.
Talk about that, because you're very musical. You work with healing sound, amazing healing sound. Talk about our soul song and our tone.
So that's kind of that's like the first thing that we have to have. I think it's the Hibihi tribe. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's an African tribe that when a woman's going to choose to have a child, she goes under a tree and she waits for that song to come. That will be the song of the child. And she begins to sing it all before she even conceives, while she's conceiving, all during the pregnancy. The grandmothers who are midwives sing it as she's birthing. And for every significant rite of passage in that child's life, that song is sung. When the person goes off the path, okay, even, with what's going on with a lot of the young people in Native tribes, committing suicide, getting into jail, many things, they put that child in the circle and they chant that song to help them remember who they are. Okay, I participated this in Canada with the Chumash in the medicine dance. The child gets their song in a dream. They come before the elders. They say, "This is my song."
How old would they be? Say
teenagers.
Okay, so
initiation. This was a different tribe now, and had a different way of going about it. So when the child got it, they could be anywhere from 8 to 12 years old. When they knew for sure that they got visited, they come before the elders, and then at the end of the year, the medicine dance happens. It's done opposite of the sun dance. So the sun dance is done clockwise. This is done counterclockwise in the winter, where the sun dance is done in the summer. And instead of being for the children of the next 7 generations, which is sun dance, it's for the ancestors and the ones coming in that haven't even come in yet. Okay. Wow. And so it's done around the tree inside the lodge. And I participated in this. It was such a powerful 4 days. And they get up, they sing the song. Their biological family walks up to them, holding them on each side, and starts chanting it with them around the tree. maybe 5, 10 times. Then the entire congregation gets up and starts. And for 2 to 3 hours, we're all chanting that child's song only around the tree. Then we sit back down and the next one gets up and tells their vision. And okay. None of us know our song. None of us know, first of all, you have to know our tone. And how you can find your tone, because again, you're one note. And if you're chanting that or resonating that on a regular basis, that's your bullshit detector, excuse my language. But it lets you know, yes, resonates with me. No, this does not.
Yeah.
And yes, we all have an instinct for that and a gut intuition for that, but it helps to hone it. When I was in the hospital, in this crazy situation, and they wanted to put all these different drugs in me, I would have to respond quickly.
Yes.
With yes or no. Like I'd have to go in and go, yes, I can take that. No, I cannot. Everybody knows that story of how intense that was. I had a massive heart attack because they gave me a anesthesia and I really can't handle, and it nearly killed me, blah, blah, blah. And so I had to answer and with the tone, we get more and more in touch with our true resonance. And it becomes this, what the Metatron says, your answer is either 100% yes or it's no. And that's where we are right now. You can't go off the beat. It's like 100% yes or it's no. It could mean your life. And it did mean my life. And I was kind of easygoing. Sometimes I'd say to my wife, what do you think I should do here? I don't know, Did I ever hone in? I know what I need to do.
Yeah, really.
There's
no time. It's clear, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's the tone. And you can do that if you can actually Google this, Chakra Sounds by Osho. It's a CD of toning the chakras. So it's free online. All right. So go get that, start learning how to tone your chakras and just play with the sounds inside your body. Because when you hit that note, your whole being goes into goosebumps. It's like
resonance.
And that's the beginning of finding your soul song.
It's so amazing to think, in the West, when does one person, let alone a whole community, focus and listen just to you? That's extraordinary. That is such an honor and a respect for that soul.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, there's 4 purposes that Dr. Medicine Wolf, you remember Dr. Medicine Wolf, and also my Tlingit elder here, they would put your 4 reasons for being here differently than I would give you the 4 purposes. He said the 4 reasons we're here is to love, to worship, to steward the planet, and to bring harmony. Those are the 4 reasons. And if you remember my purposes, you should be able to place those in the medicine wheel. That's your little homework. Where would those lines go in our medicine wheel? Because that's how I have taken all of their teachings and synthesized them into the wheel. And then my Uncle Walter says it's the singing, the dancing, the stories, and the ceremony that keep our people alive. And the first one that you and I are addressing is, when did you stop singing? That's your therapy question from shamans. It's not like, so what happened in your childhood? Is, when did you stop singing? Is your first. That's your east question. You lost your power because your 3rd chakra, your solar plexus, right, and your voice are paired. The crown and the root, 2nd chakra and 3rd eye, 3rd chakra and voice. So wherever you lose your voice, you also lose your power. So that's your east question. When did you stop singing?
It's a brilliant question.
Right? And so all of these are the traditional way of understanding these medicines. And that's the fire medicine because it's our solar plexus and it's the place where the sun rises, the east. So we grab back that personal power, which is the P word of the east, power. The R word was resonance. The P word is power. We have P words, we have R words, we have I words for every direction. It helps us to remember the teachings.
Well, it helps you make the map and it really imprints it.
And I will complete this map for you in the series. We're just giving you a few pieces of the map. Okay?
Yeah.
But when you have it, it's so easy to track where you lose your power.
Absolutely. You see it there in one symbol.
That question is one of the tracking tools. We call it the tracking. And this is Native American understanding of stalking and tracking your teachings, like animals are stalking their food. So we're stalking what we feed on, and we're stalking what's feeding on us in shamanism.
Yeah. I love it. This is so good. I'm making copious notes here.
You guys gotta come in the series. I gotta have you in the series here. It's so fun.
Yeah, we have to do it. Okay. Yeah. No, I'm sold totally. I really am.
Well,
that's like absolutely my work.
This is what we teach, and that this 5 weeks is just like the tip of the iceberg to the sweet medicine teachings and all of the Rainbow Fire Mystery School teachings that I have brought through from all of the elders. And it's practical. This is the thing. It's not like it's something 1,000 years ago that we can't relate to today. Absolutely, we can relate to today. Yeah. I was with a woman in Angel Valley. I don't know if you know the story of Angel Valley, but I was there long before that story happened. And the woman who is the couple who owns that, she had lost her son. And that was a really difficult time for her. And she walked in the teachings right when I was talking about when did you stop singing. She was like, too busy to sit in the class because she was like, the organizer. She sat down and she heard that line. And of course, she came in at the exact, moment she needed to. The arrow just went beep. And she stopped because she used to sing in the choir quite a bit and liked to sing. And she realized the time that she stopped singing was when her son died. And that is usually when we lose our voice, is usually through grief that we can't manage, is one of the many reasons that we lose the voice. And she got to do all that healing and got back into music after this weekend. And it was very, very powerful. So it is very practical. It isn't esoteric. And I'm into practical medicine.
Yeah, I love that. I love you.
Yeah, I love you too. I love you both. This guy has brought so much sunshine into your world. And we've known each other 11 years. And I want to say, please, everyone, if you haven't seen these series, what a vision quest that you went on simultaneously to me going on the drums vision quest. We were like parallel sisters of the cloth, and both of us on shoestring budgets with no money, and just like somebody hands us the next dollar and we're on to like whatever we're doing next because it was downloaded to us. And this is your teaching, everyone. You think you can't do what you're being asked to do? It's not about you. It's totally not about you. It's about coming through you, and the universe provides all of those resources when you show up. You don't go, well, when I have the money, I'll do that. No, you show up and the money then comes because you're in your rightful place, and then everything can come, not the other way around. It doesn't work that way.
It's all about showing up and being in alignment.
Yeah, please support this film because it is the foundation of everything we're giving you right now. It sets the stage of what all these elders were leading us to, how they understood the complexity of what we were going to go through, and sets the foundation for you to find your place in that new world that we're entering. The old world in some ways, the authentic world of ourselves and the planet coming back into harmony. And we've done this before. We've gone away. Waking up and forgetting is sort of like breathing in and out, It's like we do it all the time. So we've had epochs of remembering and epochs of forgetting. And now it's so nice to be coming back to this remembering, because the remembering is actually so sweet inside ourselves. It's like we just come home.
Yeah.
This other stuff, sweating by the toil of our brow, is just a bummer, and all of the destruction we have to look at of what we created. It's painful. We're like weeping to see the destruction, and we're blaming it on the 1%, but we've participated in wanting more and wanting to be movie stars or whatever the story is, of the ego. And we're facing that ego now and looking at the ugliness of what we created with that.
Yeah.
And having to reconcile that.
Yeah. Reconciliation. So through you, I've seen some of the writings of a woman, Nina Simons. Where's Nina from? Because she's very inspiring, what she's written.
She is the one of the directors of the Pioneers here in the United States, which is an organization that's looking at sustainability on all different levels.
Okay. I'm going to read this. She says, there's 3 parts. She says, I find myself appreciating women and valuing what we bring to the world in these frightening times. And I so deeply admire men who are learning from women's ways, becoming better listeners, rotating leadership, and staying connected to others, even while you stay true to your own purpose, remembering the value of beauty, relatedness, flexibility, and pausing for reflection. So can you tell us from your perspective why it's so important that men are on board with this emerging dynamic feminine energies we're talking about? Because they have to be on board. We all have to be on board.
Absolutely. It's not about half the population. It's about all of us in shamanism have 5 shields: inner man, inner woman, inner boy, inner girl, and high self or oversoul. And again, that same wheel. So for men, their opposite sex shields are called their spirit shields. They're girl and woman. And the same for woman. Her opposite spirit shield is boy and man. For us to bring through that soul, that spiritual purpose in the center, right? That this is what my spirit personality is going to, actuate in this body, this lifetime, in totality. The only ones that really help us with that is the spirit shields, is the opposites. Because women, their bodies are one thing, and their other part has to be developed, which is, women coming into their power and this kind of thing. And men have to develop that heart center, that more connected space for them to reach their spiritual potential. So it's essential because we both have to grab the ball of our potential, spiritually speaking. Our physical bodies, me a woman, you a man, help us to ground that for the spirit personality this lifetime, to do that in this feminine form or this masculine form. As we know, feminine and masculine are a spectrum. They're not like polarities. They're inner and outer. They're a nice figure 8 that comes. The guidance comes from within, and that comes directly from spirit. And female self listens, feminine self listens, masculine self has the courage to act on it into the world. And then if we're getting too far ahead, maybe we haven't really known if this is the right thing, we go back in, we get more guidance, we listen, the listener, the feminine. So it's essential for us both, all. Because it's not like now we have all this gender change that we're like, what do I call you? It's wonderful because we can't box anybody in, and it gives us this fluidity to move between our orientations. It's not about the costumes we wear, whether we wear makeup or hair, or it's about the energies that we have like tools in a toolbox. We have our feminine and masculine tools to actuate the dream. And so for men to step back and to let women lead, and lead from not the same energy, but from this inner connectedness to mother, the earth, right? Not if it doesn't destroy the earth, I'll go for that. If it doesn't destroy the children, I'll go for that. And this is where the children's law is, okay, in the sweet medicine. In the center is what we call the children's fire. And that holds the spiritual intent, both personally for me and for the collective, that nothing shall ever be done to harm the child, within or the children. So if it passes the law, then it can be done.
Which is what our beautiful brother Matt McCartney totally talks about. And he's written a book called The Children's Fire, yeah, Tia?
Yes.
So that opposite, it's kind of like the reflector for us, isn't it? It's like, hello.
Yes.
Pay attention to me. So Nina Simons, bless her, went on to say, as women, we attentively attune to our bodies, relishing the pulses of deep knowing that come from our bellies. Together, we knit dimensional patterns of our laughter, our anger, our sadness, and the holy water of our tears. We yearn to mend the tattered fragments, to turn our anger into compassionate action, to integrate, scroll up, to integrate unity, and celebration into dancing a new world into being.
Oh, that's so profound.
So, White Eagle, what does this new world look like to you? How different will it look if both men and women, the world over, engage in these divine feminine energies? What will it look different?
I want to address you in that when we say the feminine energy, another line in sweet medicine teachings is all things are born of woman. It's kind of a nice, physical fact in this world. And it actually has more than that meaning. It means it comes from the inner. So the feminine is first and foremost because it's the listener of spirit. It is the receiver. And before we can go anywhere, I would say a friend of mine just did this. She was a big radio announcer, come from New York, kind of a rough and tough woman. And she got challenged by her teacher to meditate for an hour a day. And this was not something that she did. And she wrote a book, and it's called The Confusion Experiment. And she, of course, had her life utterly transformed because of going in every day on a ritual. And she is just not the person. She did this for 1 year. So my thing is, first of all, this time that we're getting to go inward is get a practice of meditation, whether it's breath work, chanting, yoga, whatever you do for that, okay? And if you can't say, I'm going to do an hour, say you're going to do 15 minutes a day to listen to the Holy Spirit, to listen to God, to listen to the Goddess, to listen. That's what I would say is the new world that we have to be birthed out of, is the silence.
Yeah.
When did you stop? This is the North question. Being enchanted by the sweet territory of silence. Meditation in a native culture where Uncle said it, ceremony. Time of holiness, of going within to listen. That will change everything. We know that. Meditation practices have been done to stop violence in cities. The Maharishi did experiments, right? So these just focused meditation times personally. So that's what I see as like the holy ground, the soil for this new earth to grow out of. It has to come from the inside out. And it has to be, again, we have to check those, okay? Box 1, it came from the inside of me. Box 2, it's in resonance with me. I can do this in my own rhythm, meaning I'm not ahead of its time. We do that all the time. Right place and right time, It's like you and I couldn't have this interview before I returned from Hawaii. And that was the first interview. And that was actually perfect timing. I didn't understand that when we both couldn't do it before I left. It's like, is it the right time? Then we have to ask, does it honor the children's fire?
Of course.
Of the children's fire. And then we have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? We have like a ground. You've all done self-help groups or gone on retreats where we go, okay, what's the norms for the weekend? And this is the norms of the new world. We have to come up with the new norms. Before we can talk about what it actually looked like. We have to, when I go into a village or into Aboriginal community, I don't go, I'm White Eagle medicine woman, I'm going to play this drum. No, I go, hi, I want to have a relationship. And they go, come and have a dinner with us. And, let's chat, and then we just chat about simple things. And then they walk us out on their grounds and they show us their dreaming places. And then 3 days of this usually. And then they say, so why are you here?
Yeah.
I don't speak a word.
And that is ceremony, all of that. That is welcome to land ceremony, isn't it?
Right. But imagine if we did that everywhere. We don't ask something of someone until we build a relationship first.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we actually are coming back, like people are in their homes going, I'm dealing with my family issues because we don't even have a relationship. We've been on cell phones and caffeine and running from appointment to appointment, and we're losing the relationship with ourselves first, with nature and each other, like the three most important things. So once relationship with, again, and even me saying this, is the feminine voice of leadership. Is building relationship. And then we can united do anything we want to do.
So true. Beautiful. So so as part of this inner work, we're going to take some questions from the audience in a minute, but so as part of this inner work, we're looking to, as I understand it, deprogram ourselves away from what we took in growing up with two different generations of our parents and our grandparents. And it's a strong program. So again, to quote Nina, who I'm loving, she says, we expect young men to rebel, to find their own identity. They're encouraged to defy the norms, to stand firm in their own convictions, and to step out on their own. Boys are applauded for taking risks and for bragging or boasting about their achievements. Young girls, however, are told to be demure and to be quiet, and are told off, not to show off or to be too full of themselves. Now, I was saying to you just before we came on air, my mother would say that literally up until she took her last breath. If I want to excitedly tell her how great the show is and how we're enjoying doing this show twice a week, she'll say, careful, you won't fit through the door with a head like that. What the hell? So I guess the question is, who the heck are we supposed to be full of, if not ourselves? It's like the craziness. And you call this shield work again.
Yeah, this is the shields that we were talking about before. And this is why it's so wonderful, this blowout of gender going on right now. Like, you know, people like not defining themselves in this box. It's because we are willing now to say, I am the spirit behind all of these 5 shields: man, woman, boy, girl, high self, the God. I am all of this. And so as God, I can use any of these tools to manifest my spirit's purpose in all the 5 in this lifetime. And we're getting that finally. We're like, oh, I don't want to be boxed in here. But also, for women and men on a biological level, we have our chakras are opposite each other. So, the penis, of course, is a positive chakra. It's external. The feminine is a negative chakra. It receives, right? And so we have it all the way up opposite. Okay. The womb, of course, is positive for women, negative for men. The solar plexus, which is our home of personal power and who's in power in the world, is a positive chakra for men.
Yeah.
And so for women to come into their power, they have to overcome something significant. And that is their spirit shields. That's why they have their spirit shields, so that they can, the place that's more introverted and not as developed. And again, these are just energetic blueprints, but we're socially raised, some of us to be very brazen women, and men to be very, very sensitive, depending upon many contexts. Like, we don't want to say that this is what the genders are. They're not. It's a spectrum. But we get to really reclaim the weak one in our system, like the one that we're not bringing online. And imagine, many cars are 6 pistons to the engine, but we'll just say 5 for now. And imagine if we only had 3 of the 5 to get up the hill. We couldn't get up the hill. A car that's like pistons aren't working. And that's the way we are as people. We have to have these chakras online and working. Those 5 core that are between the top and the bottom of our body, the crown and the root. And this is the masculine light, and the feminine earth. And we have 5 in between gates to manifest all of that and bring it into life. And so it is important that we allow women those opportunities of claiming those shields, and men opportunities for claiming their shields. And for many women, they needed to get in all women environments because they're all in the same story, and they need that. But it's a challenge for women to stay in their power amongst powerful men. And so women need that test as well. We need to be able to come online and see each other in equal ways in all of this aspect, in the sensitivity, it takes a lot of courage to have an open and soft heart. So we have this thing that masculine means like we don't have connection. The masculine is the connection or the power to stay sweet and stay open. That is like the most courageous act we have, is to forgive somebody, right? So we have this idea of masculine as being disassociated with the feminine. And imagine it's working for that. It's a different thing altogether. Then they don't seem so polarized.
I love it how you juice it up. She makes it very sexy.
Yeah, absolutely. But I also believe it's very difficult for a lot of people to break out of these molds because of conditioning and because of the way that their parents were brought up. For example, you know, I've got 2 boys. I've changed more pooey nappies than I can remember. Yet I remember my uncle, a generation above me, looking at me going, "What are you doing? You know, this is not what men do." And I'm loving to see that, you know, so many more. It just seems to be coming to this point of more balance, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to see. I'm talking from a very day-to-day practical level. You guys talk on a very spiritual level, but I'm seeing it amongst all my men friends, amongst my women friends. It's no longer the woman stays at home and does this. It's becoming so much more balanced, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
And that's what the inner work is all about, that the White Eagle was talking about, is this deprogramming of all that conditioning. We have to junk that stuff, and we have to do it. It's like the quick yes, no. We have to let it go. That's me. That's not me speaking. That's mine. That's not mine. We have to be fast.
Remember the grandmother speaking in the last channeling. Both of you were at that channeling about dropping identity, you know, and going into mega identity, like that we can change clothes and costumes on the stage of life as needed. So you know, so many men are getting the opportunity not to have to be this like guy that's out there, you know, burdened with all of the, you know, financial support to the family and roles of fathers dying young and heart attacks because they take on this big burden. And now they can drop that big shoulder, and it's shared, it's moving. And women who are juggling all of the home life and we're having a job, you know, now they get support. So it's like this beautiful dance, you know, that just undulates. And it doesn't mean, like, my partner and I, she has things that she's better at than me. I have things that, you know, and we're 2 women. So how do we identify those roles now? You know, it's like, but we were both heterosexual for many years, and we're in traditional relationships. And it's like, I tend to like those things. I'm like the builder. I love to go out and build sheds and stuff. And she likes to do some of the other things. And we just go, well, you know, she loves to be out there building with me. And she can do all that, but she has things that she tends to be better at than me. You know, I'm the visionary. She's the Virgo, making sure the bills are paid. And this is just like a dance.
Yeah.
But where we were in prior times is we were like clueless of how to do the other role. We were actually clueless. And that was not empowerment. Because I had a woman in a shield session in Germany who had a provider her whole life. She was in her 50s, total feminist, she thought. We get into the man shield. She goes, I don't know anybody here. Like, I don't identify with this at all. My husband sits there, everything you're describing. And she was so mad because she wanted to get divorced for like 15 years. And every time she tried to go, she wouldn't leave. And she was mad at herself. I said, well, you have no man shield, so you can't provide for yourself. Of course, your inner children were screaming like, don't go, you know, and you need that shield developed if you're going to get out of there. Yeah. You know, it's that basic.
Yeah, it's so simple, isn't it?
We have to have all shields on board, all of us, to be healthy, empowered individuals. And then we come together and we bring all of those gifts together. It doesn't mean everybody's got to develop every single thing. It does mean that we'll always have 1 or 2 things that are stronger than others in us, but that we can be autonomous to ourselves is super important.
Super important.
To then be sovereign nation, you know, when we talk about Native people being sovereign, it's like you have to have personal sovereignty first.
Yeah.
And that's through those 4 R's, you know, that Yeah.
I've got a couple more questions, but shall we just go to a couple of audience questions? Have you got anyone writing?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I want to go back to one to the beginning. That was sort of 8:25, so about 40 minutes ago. But Helen asked this question of you, White Eagle. She says, "I was adopted at 6 weeks old. So when I do ancestral work, should I think about my natural parents or my adoptive parents? Thank you."
That's a good question.
Oh, it's wonderful, and it gets asked all the time. Both. The answer is always both, because both influenced you.
Yeah.
You know, so you get, you know, you've got a more colorful palette of influence and gifts and clearings. My children, you know, I'm a divorced parent. They have their stepmother as well as me, and it's all part of the molding of who they are today. They chose that. You chose that before this life. For probably, you might find as you go down through the ancestral lines, there was a commitment or a contract that you made. And that's a big part of Soulvine journey work, is clearing contracts. You know, either saying this was a good contract and I've completed my karmic contract, or it doesn't even have to be a dharmic contract, which means it was part of your spiritual contract before you came here to manifest this for the planet. Karma is usually those things that we have to pay back, you know, from other times that we agreed to do. And even in karmic contracts, we can revisit them. And that's what Soulvine journey work is so fantastic for. We can revisit them and say, you know, I have more choices today. How would I like to clear that karmic contract? Instead of the old sort of Christian version that's I'm guilty and I have to hit myself over the head because I hit somebody over the head, so I'm going to hit myself over the head, you know. And I go, I can be more loving to myself and decide that instead of, I know somebody that was a conquistador in her past life, right? And so she took a lot of lives. And so what is she going to do for that? She's going to save a lot of lives this year, you know, this time around. She's going to empower a lot more people. And, you know, use that. Maybe she's going to work in a suicide prevention or whatever to do it in this positive dharmic way instead of beating oneself up, which again is just more karma. So. So I think you have a wonderful diversity, and you can explore that, and you can ask your biological parents. You can go into your past lives and see what was that you decided to be adopted in this lifetime, and what that looks like. You know, the blessings and the pain that you went through this lifetime for that can be then reconciled in a beautiful, beautiful way. Because there's always more gifts than there are anything else. If we have proper eyes to see and ears to hear.
Yeah. You're so good. Any more questions, Tara?
Yeah, we've got one from YouTube user Dan Sully. How do we understand the symbols in our dreams and meditations so we can apply them to our lives?
Do the course.
Yeah, take the course. Well, you know, they don't all come at once. You know, none of the stuff in our dreams says, I was having dreams for a decade or more about grandmother drum, but there was no drum. You know, they were grandmothers doing sound over my body and saying, you're going to have to get used to this. You're going to build this. Like, that made no sense. So we get things like breadcrumbs, you know, on the trail. And at one point, the key to this, and if you haven't already, you can go on our website. On the main page, it says free downloads. And go to that page and sign up for 10 messages from your soul. Because our soul is speaking to us every second of every day. We ask a question all the time, like, you know, what should I do about this? Or what is that message? What is that symbol about? And there is only a few spiritual laws that are cross-cultural to every spiritual religion. Ask and you shall receive is one of the number one, right? And the problem is we ask and we receive, but we totally miss it because we're not paying attention.
Yeah.
So when you ask, you have to pay attention to at least three. It's usually three things that will show up to confirm it. That's how spirit talks to us. That's how our soul's communicating with us, is through the repetition of three. Usually by the fourth time, we feel like we got knocked over the head. You know, it's like, okay, I get it. And so you can ask that question. But also, we have to be patient because the spiritual discovery, where I am now, like it came from so many years of unfoldment. I didn't just get the download of grandmother drum and go out into the world. I mean, it didn't happen that way. And there are people that get a dream that goes, spirit goes, you go out and do this right now. You know, it doesn't happen that way. It's an unfolding mystery, the magical mystery tour, right? Ah, the magical mystery tour. So your symbols, they could appear as you're driving somewhere. They could appear in a book. Somebody could send something on your Facebook, or you just, in this meditation, see the symbol again and something else comes. And then you go, oh, I have the symbol now and this. And all of a sudden the puzzle gets put together. So stay patient with whatever messages you get or imagery or, you know, spirit beings showing up, that you don't get it all at once. And it's helpful to journal, to, you know, connect your dream journals. And, you know, I have the channelings of the grandmothers. We get transcripts. And if I don't remember, because I'm in channel state, Michaela will go, do you remember blah, blah, blah? This is them giving it to you now. And I was like, thank you, Grandmother Michaela. You know, it comes everywhere. You know, our dogs are our teachers. You know, everybody's our teacher.
Yeah. My girlfriend, Peter, she calls them God winks. Synchronicities that show up.
Said with a beautiful British accent.
Yes, of course. Next question.
Next one from Luby. Luby says there's a lot of collective grief and anxiety in the world. How do you think we can hold space for this and support this without getting caught in the stories?
I think this is asked. I think this is one of the most common questions we get, period, by healers. And I say, you're not going to always not get identified with it. And wherever you're identified with the collective is your own. It's resonating here. The only place we can do it is here. Ho'oponopono. If you feel like you can't step out into that pain and suffering, and you know, I've been in tribes where it's been devastating. I watched kids sniffing gasoline as I approached the most sacred village in Aboriginal culture. And that's who greeted me, as teenagers who had no soul in their eyes, sniffing gasoline. It's the devastation in Indigenous communities that I have walked in is so far beyond. You know, everybody like loves these teachings, but they have no idea what's happened to these people. And it's still going on, and not just Indigenous people, but you know, in Africa, in here and there, and in our own country, on our own city streets, everywhere. And so, you know, if you can't look it in the eye, then keep working here, and don't penalize yourself for only being able to handle so much at a time. It's your process, and that is our lung work. That's transmuting the grief into love. And that's a big medicine.
The COVID thing.
This is COVID. Is our inability to look at what we've created.
Yes.
And if we can't look at what we've created, we are sure going to create it again.
Absolutely. It is such a tip there, isn't it?
So I'll give her a tidbit. It's only one part of this, but it'll be the tidbit. We have 3 different lung brooks that are done as a trinity, but I'm just going to give you the first one. It's known as Kamana. Ka is soul. Mana is the juju, right? The juju of our soul. And it's located, where this point is in the lungs, is right under your armpit. So follow the line under your armpit until you get right over, directly over your nipple. Okay, man or woman, it doesn't matter. And find that spot on the left side. It's almost always, find it now, both of you, just underneath your armpit, and then follow it right up from your nipple and press in there. It's always tender. Yeah. Almost for everyone. That's your grief. Hello, there's your grief. Okay. The opposite side is your anger. And women don't have as much here normally as here. If they're, and men have sometimes more here. Not always. You know, it's a spectrum.
Yeah.
But what do we do when we can't deal with things?
Yeah.
Hold the breath up, and we hold it.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is we want to unblock. You know, if you're plunging a toilet or you're plunging anything, you have the upward and downward motion. And we're doing this all the time. I can't. It's stored there. That's where we stick it. Right? All of us, you know, especially European culture, British culture. Oh my God, put it right there. Don't deal with it. Put your armor across it. And so what we want to do is we're going to mimic the upward motion, because we're like when we're plunging or bottle brushing, we go in both directions. So we want to follow that direction, but this time we want to tell it and go back out. So we go count on the 4 or on the 8, hold, and then out. Small, tiny breaths, not big ones, because we want to get in there like microscopically and get that stuff unblocked. And you may find you can do this for 10 minutes or 20 minutes on either side or both, that you might just start crying about nothing. Unprocessed grief. Give yourself permission, because it's the waters of grief. You know, rain greens the soil and tears green the heart.
That was so beautiful in the film when you said that.
And it's true. You know, you get so much more compassion for others when you can just be, and that's your South question. So stick it in your map now. Your South question that elders would teach you in shamanism, instead of, remember we said, you know, when did you stop singing? Storytelling is in the South. And also the question, what touched me today? You should be able to answer that every day. And if you're not touched by life, you've become hardened. You've got a hard heart. So it's forgiveness work. Hard or closed heart's always the same, forgiveness work. So you can do Kamana by just working on that space daily and unblocking that and dealing with your own grief about what we've created.
Beautiful.
And transmuting it to love. So we can move on.
So I'm going to talk about your music in the end, at the end of this, but it feels like we're in the eye of the storm at the moment. And I suppose just like labor, when the baby's coming and it's the most scary and bloody and full of tension, it's kind of like the calm before the storm. So as a species, are we about to, can we see it that we're about to birth ourselves into a new world? Will the human race rise from the ashes to be reborn again as a new race, a more heart-centered tribe, planetary tribe? What's your thoughts on this process, this birthing process? Clearly, we're going through death and rebirth right now.
Absolutely. And it was them at 1999, the grandmothers that I channel, came and gave us this line of the opening of the world tours. We are grandmothers of the new millennium, midwives at the ring of fire. Now, we know the geological ring of fire is also the center of where this energy is coming through our planet, right? Right through the heart of Hawaii. And that's the birth canal, okay? The Hawaiian elders have a place in Waipio Valley they call the Seven Caves. That is the birthplace, they believe, of Lemuria and all of those ancient civilizations, you know, that we talk about. So physically on the earth, they talk about the ring of fire. And isn't that amazing that in physical women's childbirth, we call it the same thing when the baby's head crowns and you know, we go to 10 centimeters and that absolute burning sensation that we remember, those of us who have given birth, it is the ring of fire. So if they said that in 99, that's 21 years ago. That is in tarot, that is the completion of one wheel. So I feel like we are in the birthing moments now. We are down that canal, and it's probably the final terrifying phase of where are we going, what out there, because the womb was such a comfortable place, and we're just afraid of the unknown at the moment. But it's a dynamic birth of the homo luminous babies, like grandmother's called the cherubs. And this is a time that we have to take really, really good self-care, just like a baby, right? You know, we We've got to hold them in a certain space. We have to feed them certain foods, and they were discussing those foods on the channeling as the Mother's Milk. We did get this recipe 20 years ago. We've never, they said it wasn't time yet to bring it forward, and it's actually going to be a superfood, and we haven't gotten even there to offer it yet. We're like, okay, we're getting the instructions. So the foods that we eat, the spiritual foods as well as the physical foods, and that is feeding of ourselves on what is of that law that we described earlier. You know, what is in that I can feed myself with, and not feed myself with the dying world. Birth is messy, death is messy. It always is. But it needs to be, because it's taking us out of our familiar into a larger self of understanding. So we are hitting our glass ceiling of you know, and if we've got fear, as grandmother said in the channeling, it's our ally. It tells us something's really happening.
Yeah.
Right? And the main thing is not to identify or stay in the fear, but use it to catapult me forward and take that jump into the unknown. People like you who did this around the world, you had fear. I had terrifying fear at times with grandmother drum, but we went with that fear. We moved through it. We didn't stop there, and that's the most important thing for people right now. Is you might be afraid of this unknown, and you know we've heard martial law, we've heard all sorts of trauma, and we're a bit afraid. But to create an environment where we feed ourselves with what is, this is a South teaching, there's what is instead of what isn't. It's the glass half full or half empty. So I'm always affirming what is, and then I manifest that because that's what I'm feeding, right? So when we say we want abundance and we constantly say I don't have enough money, well, our intention is abundance, our attention's on shortage. So intention plus attention equals manifestation. So if one is here and one is there, they're pulling apart. Whereas if I invoke abundance and I focus on all that I'm grateful for, then I wind up abundant. So that's what we have to do right now. We have to really take charge of our thoughts and our feelings, because we are in that time of instant manifestation now. The frequencies that we're getting beaten, we've come out, as we know from NASA, of the cosmic cloud that we were in the galaxy. We're peeking our head out and we're getting tons more frequency coming at us, which is light to manifest. So all our negative thoughts are coming out because the light's on, we can see them. Oh, that's what's caused that, you know. And instead of feeding that again, say, oh, if I want a new world, I have to actually have new thoughts and feelings.
White Eagle, we have 8 minutes, so we don't take people beyond the half hour. So really, I don't think we've got time probably for any more questions, because White Eagle and Michaela are going to sing us an Aboriginal song in honor of a Aboriginal grandmother who's passed recently. And so what people maybe don't know about you is the amazing sound healing aspect of you, and the many albums that you've produced, White Eagle. They're all available on White Eagle's website, and we'll put the details up. Living Waters of Grace is something that I was honored to be a little teeny part of when we were in Jerusalem. I'm just going to whiz through this. We basically went down below the Church of the Holy Sepulchre through a chapel, and it was dark and dank, and we went into a cave that was sitting a long way below where Jesus's body was placed. Is that correct? After the crucifixion?
Yeah, where he came off the cross.
And the acoustics in there were it was extraordinary. We recorded an album, The Living Waters of Grace, down there, which is available from your site, and it is amazing. And it's that song you sang, the Hawaiian Invocation. So very quickly, can you just tell me it's sung in ceremony? Just tell us what it's for, so people have an understanding.
Used to do ceremony, and ehomai. Ehomai means grant me. Kahiki mai luna maya, the knowledge of the wisdoms of the songs of creation. So that invocation alone is only about getting me in harmony with the song. And it's sung in every ceremony before anything sacred is done in Hawaii.
Wow.
And that's what I opened the Living Waters of Grace with. Yeah.
I mean, I get goosebumps even now after hundreds and hundreds of times of seeing my own film. That piece just totally full body reaction. Yeah, it's beautiful. You very, very quickly, we all pick up our mentors from friends, from people I've interviewed. I mean, we find them throughout life. We don't have to have necessarily one spiritual teacher. You were talking about Harry
Uhani Jim.
His name?
Harry Uhani Jim.
So Jim, if you're listening, or if you get to watch this on replay, we would really love to have you on our show, because he's your mentor, and that just speaks volumes to me. I would love to have a little chat with him first, and then bring him on the show. That would be great.
Yeah, he is, just a 1 in a million, powerful kahuna, and also just you'll feel the love of aloha. You'll feel what they call kapu aloha, which is the law of love, just oozing from him.
Yeah.
And a wicked sense of humor. Like he's just a conundrum, and always psychically prophesizing what's coming. He actually prophesized the lava flow and COVID without us knowing about it yet, until after we listened to it. He doesn't know he's doing it even. He just brings it through, He's powerful.
So to mention, Taya, do you want to tell us who we've got coming up this Thursday and then next Monday? And you'll be putting posters out about that.
Yeah, so this Thursday we have Michael Tellinger, who's going to be joining us, who's also in the movie. Michael Tellinger is the founder of the Ubuntu movement, and he's got some really exciting things to share with us as well. And next Monday we've got Charles Eisenstein joining us at 8 p.m. And we're really looking forward to Charles coming on, because he's just done this amazing article recently on COVID, and he's going to be talking about that and a whole load of other things as well.
If anyone hasn't read it, it's called The Coronation, and it's his take on COVID, and it's an excellent piece. So
I'll post it into the group in the page.
That'd be great for people to read that before he actually comes on. And Charles Eisenstein for president. He's definitely going. I didn't have time to do this, but he's definitely going to be in our Wisdom Keepers Council of 12 or 13, probably, actually. Definitely.
Yeah. So
anyone who you would put forward for this council of Wisdom Keepers?
Oh yes, I probably have a whole list that I could share with you at some point. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll challenge you on that. I'll come back to you. White Eagle says.
Yeah. So if you'd like to support White Eagle, you can just visit her website, whirlingrainbow.com. The course that we've been talking about is Spiritual-Sensuality after whirlingrainbow.com. But all of these links are in the description of this video. So whether you're watching on YouTube, on our Facebook page, or on our Facebook group, you're able to see all that information in the description of this. And here is the course that's going to be up. It's the Divine Feminine and Unearthing Your True Purpose. It runs from Thursday, May the 14th through to Thursday, June the 4th. And again, at whirlingrainbow.com/spiritual sensuality. And we're doing these broadcasts free. I think this is the 9th one that we've done live. And if you'd like to be able to support us, we'd love you to either rent the movie or to purchase the digital access package. You can also make a donation, or again, all these links are in the description, and we explain why we're asking for donations on the donation page, and also you can share these live videos with other people. And I should also say, because White Eagle kindly said at the beginning of this, that anybody that actually signs up for the digital access package, where you get 19.5 hours of deep dive content into Time of the Sixth Sun, an 8-episode docuseries, you get an ebook, you get 2 beautiful stream CDs, you get extra webinars, you get a whole host of stuff. You can look at that at the digital access offer page. Anybody that purchases that in the next 24 hours will also get a free copy of White Eagle's award-winning album, Journey of the Heart. So it's a nice incentive. So thank you so much for your gifting of that, White Eagle.
Well, I just want to support you in every way possible, and I really reach out to everyone. This is what it means to support the new earth. The new way is by actually cultivating those people and resources that are out there for you, just to keep going deeper and accessing. So, you know, the film, the opening film, $4.95. I mean, it's so simple. Anybody can do that. And you can, you know, take a look at the work and begin to support those things that are feeding you. This is how we're going to create the world that we want, by feeding those things that are feeding the new consciousness. So thank you both for the tireless hours behind the scenes that it takes to do this and offer this free thing to people. You're getting so much from these people, and they have websites to maintain. They have so much overhead. So please, it's just a simple thing that is being asked of you, and it's not stretching anyone's budget to ask for that little bit. So many hands. You know, I always thought if we could get just even $1 from every person on Facebook, you know, you'd be fine. So, you know, it's like, do your little tithing. It's all about that. It's reciprocity. It's a whole foundation that we didn't even mention of the law that I said of the new world, and it's reciprocity is one of those fundamental things.
The circle of giving and receiving. It's beautiful. And also thank you to, I do want to mention it, I'm Teo's partner, Olivia. You know, when he does all this work, she's supporting and holding the family and holding the space. So I always hold Olivia in my heart and mention her when I can. And the same for you, Michaela. Thank you for supporting and being a really important part of the work you do together.
So I'd just like to welcome my beautiful wife and partner in crime as we do this work around the world and toward, I don't know, 12, 20 countries, whatever we did together already, as she got on board later on to start saying, this is my mission too. So we're all finding our place in that circle.
It was actually 16 countries after the World Europe tour was when our relationship changed. So we were 3 years into the medicine work together until we discovered maybe there's more there than just the work. Maybe there's an intimate relationship as well.
Which is a wonderful, like, kind of bookend to spiritual sensuality, right? So, there we go.
I came and witnessed you both doing a workshop in Avebury at Silbury Hill.
Right. That was before we were even a clue. You know, the grandmother said, I said, I need signs. You know, talk about 3, and they said, well, we gave you about 150. So we want to close this in honor of the Divine Feminine and the Divine Feminine in all of us. Again, it has no gender. And one of the most powerful teachers that I ever worked with and still work with, because she is so spiritually capable of working in any dimension, is a West Australian elder who's also the grandmother of the continent of Australia, who just recently passed, Auntie Violet. And she is one person that has probably made one of the most deepest impacts in my medicine. And so I'd like to sing a Aboriginal song, although this particular song isn't from her area. It's from the center of Australia. Nungi Natia is the word for Mother Earth. So we're going to sing this chant. And the whole idea of spiritual sensuality was unearthing our purpose. And the movements of this song, these little dance movements, has that beautiful unearthing of our purpose. So we mentioned those 5 purposes today. So as we sing this, maybe you can tune in, even if nothing came today, but just the idea that they exist in you, that you can call them to unearth. And as we on Thursday start to deepen that journey together.
And when this song was shared with us on the 2012 Australia tour, the woman who shared it with us said, when I sing this song to my plants as I water them, I swear they're growing faster and more beautifully than without the songs.
Lovely.
That's how this song was used. It's used for the land.
Beautiful.
So I want to light the rainbow candle. We talked about this candle before. This is Kayla and I's wedding candle, and it's only come out, the first time it came out since then was our opening to the Six Sun series. So I wanted to honor that it continues now to be the symbol of that new earth, that new space, the light that we are.
Feeling honored.
Now, I don't know if you'll see the movements. I'll try to do them from a sitting position since this is normally stood up, but Gandra launu Nanjinatia Gandralaunu Yamakura Yamakura Nanjinatia Yamakura Gandralaunu Nanjinatia Gandralaunu Yamakura Yamakura Nanjinatia Yamakura Gandralaunu Nanjinatia Gandralaunu Yamakura Yamakura Nanjinatia Yamakura.
Thank you, sisters. Beautiful.
Thank
So
you.
the last word, Journey of the Heart. If you buy the digital package, next 24 hours, that's been gifted by White Eagles. Beautiful.
And we will also add it into anybody that's previously purchased so that they're not missing out as well, because we want to say thank you to all those that have already supported us.
Night, night, everyone. Thank you. See you on Thursday.
Thank you. Good night.
Say hello, hi.